So the format, when you're assessing these presentations, they're given about 15 minutes.
You're going, the formal presentations,
Yeah.
yes.
And then how much time and then how much time do the judges have to?
Generally 5 to 10 minutes for questions and comments if they need them. Would that be about accurate this year as well?
Yeah.
In terms of getting a chance for questions. There's more time built into the collaborative question for the dialogue because it's a slightly different dynamic. Yeah, Steve?
For the formal presentations, again, for the judges that haven't done this before, you're going to be in a room like this. The students are going to set up their props and they'll be in the front of the room. There'll be other people in the room for the formal presentation, teachers, parents, and just anybody that's got some free time that wants to observe. But for the CQ, it'll only be the judges and the students because they're going to feel like under a lot of pressure already. So teachers and parents aren't supposed to be in there because we also don't want them to kind of tip off the students, like, you know, give hints and stuff or body language that lets them know whether they're working appropriately.
I think you're going to find the CQ is a really interesting experience, and I'm very hopeful that this new approach is really going to improve the depth to which they're really able to have dialogue and the conversations that you see. Obviously, the projects themselves are very interconnected, and that's meant, I mean, it's really a giant plate of spaghetti that they're supposed to try to make sense of, right? Because every time they pull a string, there are so many things attached to it. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. And I will be very open and looking for a lot of feedback afterwards to know whether, especially for those of you who have seen the CQ done other ways, whether you think we've managed to improve it. Looking at the rubric itself, the one thing that I did a little bit differently, it's not a huge change, is in the bottom part. I felt before that there was very little information about how to score kids on their individual work. So the top part of this rubric is for the group itself, for the team in the CQ, right? How did they do as a group? But the bottom half has to do with individual scores, and it's still only worth 10 points. I mean, it's still a very low point area because frankly, it really is about collaboration more than individual effort. But of course, collaboration depends on how the individuals behave, right? Collaboration works when the individuals are playing their roles effectively or they're working with each other effectively. So I wanted to stress a little bit more what it meant to be a good collaborator. So in the teacher guide that I sent to you, there's actually a little bit of a matrix that says like 0 points is never spoke a word, 10 points is contributed effectively, 0 points is constantly interrupted his peers, 10 points is listened to others and facilitated dialogue, those kinds of things. It's in the teacher planning thing, it's not on here, it's just so that teachers can help to form the kids' ideas about what it means to be a slightly better grader, a better leader, a better person in dialogue, better diplomat. So it's in your teacher packets, you're welcome to look at it. But what I included here was basically the general categories of criteria. And 10 would obviously be a very high score, 1 would be a low score, right? But these are kind of the issues that you should be considering when you're looking at individual participation. Did they participate consistently and were they actively involved? Did they listen and not speak over others? Did they contribute relevant things, innovative ideas, as opposed to just wanting to hear themselves speak and repeating things over and over? Did they demonstrate an open mind? And did they demonstrate leadership? So, okay, and all of the stuff at the top, of course, is more about the content, the flow of the dialogue, and the participation, how they were working with each other. And that's very much as it was last year. So, questions? Yes?
I have a question. Last year, since we judges, I thought we stayed in one room, and then the kids, the different groups came in.
That was true with both the formal presentation and the collaborative question last year. This year, it will be true with the collaborative question, but not the formal presentation.
So the formal presentations last year, we graded the first group, but we didn't turn in our sheets yet.
Yeah.
So are we going to turn it in as soon as we're done with it?
We've been talking about
Yes.
this. Yeah, I think
So
our
that's the
really
answer
is
is yes. So what we've found is, if I might,
Yeah, please.
logistically and traffic flow, it's easier to move 3 to 5 judges than a team and have them set up. So formal presentation is one where they come with stuff. So they will come in, set up, the 3 to 5 judges will be there, watch the formal presentation, grade, the judges grade that formal presentation, hand into the proxy their evaluation and their rubrics grading, and those 3 to 5 judges will move to the next room. When you get registered, you will have a list of what rooms you move to at what time. That will be predetermined for you. So then Team A is already set up, Team B is set up, they've all both finished, and you're just walking into Team B and doing the same thing again. It's just from a timing wise, much better.
Yeah.
For the CQ, each team will present their CQ one time. Formal presentation, each team presents twice. CQ presentation, teams present once. You are still watching 2 teams just for the judges' flow, but the CQ teams are judged one time
And in one room.
and in one room.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah, and I promise that we will send you a paper logistics kind of.
All those
overview and
logistics
all
happen
that.
when you come in to register. You'll get your packet, and in your packet it will say 910, room 115. It'll have the map of which, all the rooms are in Sturm Hall. It's one floor up, one floor down, or level, and it'll say Judge A, you go at 9:10 to room 140. At 10:15, you go to room 210.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be laid out clearly for you. To go back to what was your root question, part of it is just the logistics of the fact that we have to move the judges, so it's much smarter for the proctors to take the paperwork right there on the spot. But the other is actually a real concern that I had that last year, that what we were doing was putting teams against each other. By holding the 2 score sheets, we were actually comparing them to each other, and that was what we were ending up scoring them for, was how they weighed against the other team, not how they did. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So it ended up being mostly a logistical concern, but it actually fulfilled something that I was a little worried about too. So, and if you feel like you get in there and you're like, I don't know where to place them because I haven't seen any others, talk to your proctor, talk to me in the morning. I mean, I'm always, we'll be around.
Talk to your fellow judges too,
Yeah,
right?
talk to fellow judges, absolutely, that's totally appropriate.